Hey, hey, hey. How's it going,
Hello,
John?
Robert.
Everything all right over
Pretty good.
there?
How you doing?
All right. So it is 3 o'clock, and that puts us squarely into the Command 301 class here today. Welcome. I'm going to go ahead and switch that around over there real quick. Hang on. I'll be right with you there. We go. I think that'll do it. That's the one. So if you'd like to join me, of course, we're here in the Zoom room at kwtechtv.com, and we're on Facebook Live as well. And we're going to be getting into the smart plan stuff today. So we're going to be talking about smart plans. So we're going to jump right in. I'll go ahead and switch over the screen here, and we'll share that with everyone, making sure that you guys can see that. Let's see what we got here. That's the one. All right. So what are smart plans? As we discussed briefly in the Command 101 class a little bit earlier today, smart plans are drip campaigns. They're just marketing campaigns that happen over time. So the main difference between a smart plan and a regular campaign is the multi-touch, the ability to reach out over time automatically to your contact in your database and kind of interact with them in different ways. So when we talk about the different ways, there's different actions that can be taken in smart plans. You can send emails, you can send text messages, you can set up tasks for you to remind yourself to do something, and you can set up tasks for you to remind yourself to reach out via telephone calls to your clients. So smart plans have a lot going on. Let me jump into the SmartPlans Dashboard here, which is on the left-hand side in Command. And it looks like a little clipboard to me. That's the way I always think of it here. So when we jump in, hopefully it's going to go. I don't know why things are running really slow today, but they are. So the SmartPlan Dashboard, you'll notice here real quick when it says you have no smart plans, for some reason, it's been loading a little slow lately. After you click the button, you see that you have no smart plans. But don't worry, give it a second, and it will load up if you have any smart plans loaded in. So this is the Smart Plan Dashboard here. And what this is telling you is all of the smart plans that you have in your system, whether they are active or not. So an active smart plan is something that is currently going out on a scheduled basis to a specified group of contacts. So when we say active, we mean that we're doing it. It's going out. It's working. An inactive smart plan is kind of dormant. It may have run its course, because a smart plan is time-based. So it may have, the 2 emails have sent out and the text messages have gone out. And so it's done. And you can actually always tell an active smart plan from a dormant smart plan by this little section right here, pointing at it in the middle of the page here, where I have the number 1 and then an eyeball. And that is the My Biweekly Neighborhood Nurture Smart Plan. This plan is active. There is 1 person on this plan, and they are actively receiving biweekly notifications about the neighborhoods that they are looking at, or that we have selected for them, or they have selected on their own. And if you want to know who is receiving that, in this case, it's simple. It's only 1 person. When you click on the eyeball, it tells you contacts that have been added to the smart plan. This is the biweekly neighborhood nurture. And here is the person who is receiving it, John Morgan. And this is one of my test contacts here. So we have 1 person, and we could, if we wanted to, we could unsubscribe that person. We could unsubscribe everyone if we had hundreds of people involved, or we can unsubscribe 1 person at a time by selecting their name and unsubscribing them. And it's basically the same way when we subscribe someone. We just select a person or a group and we put them onto the smart plan. But this little indication here tells me that all the rest of these smart plans that are in this view, and that doesn't mean that all of them, because I have multiple pages of smart plans here. But in this particular view, there's only 1 smart plan that is actively running. And I'm going to kind of start there because I want to explain a little bit of the mechanics behind a smart plan before we get into the building and the concepts and all that stuff. I want you to understand the mechanics. This particular smart plan, this My Biweekly Neighborhood Nurture plan that is running, it goes out bi-weekly like clockwork to whoever subscribed to it, and it pulls together the information from the neighborhoods that have been attached to that individual in their database, in their contact card. It pulls them into the Smart Plan. It creates an email that is pre-formatted. It's not something that you have control over. This is a KW managed Smart Plan. And it sends out the email, pulls the neighborhood information, makes a beautiful email out of it, sends it out every 2 weeks to anybody who's subscribed and has a neighborhood associated with them. That's actually a very important part of these types of Keller Williams plans. Because it's a bi-weekly neighborhood nurture, the only neighborhoods that it can talk about, that it can put inside its email, are neighborhoods that you have attached to your contacts. So if you have 20 contacts in your database, one of them has a neighborhood attached to them or associated with them, and all 20 people are added to the Smart Plan, only one person is going to receive the email because they're the only one that has the Smart Plan and the neighborhood is associated for the Smart Plan to recognize. This particular Smart Plan, the My Biweekly Neighborhood Smart Plan, there's nothing that you can do to customize it, adjust it, tweak it, do anything. But it still serves as a good understanding of an active Smart Plan cannot be edited because it's active. When you have a Smart Plan that is running, if you've got one person or 500 people on it, and when that Smart Plan is active and running, you can't edit it. It's kind of like, it's a more dramatic version of like a crock pot or an Instant Pot. Once you put everything in there and you set the timer and had it going, you really can't mess with it. You can't open it up. You can't do anything because it's got to do what it's got to do. So it's a sealed object once it gets going. And this applies to all Smart Plans, regardless of whether it's something you built or it's something that you got from the KWRI. Okay? So what do we have here? Now, I've got a list of Smart Plans. I've got this little thing called SP April 22, which is actually something that I was working on today. And I've got another one, April Test 22. Now, these are just the names of the Smart Plans that are used for me to reference. But when you're creating your Smart Plans, you want to make sure that you have a very good name that tells you what this Smart Plan is doing, what its purpose is. But you'll notice that you really can't adjust too much to see a lot of the name. And this column here, you can't kind of stretch it out and work it like you can an Excel column. You can sort your plans A to Z and Z to A, and that's nice. But you got to kind of work within this physical boundary of how wide you have to put your name of your Smart Plan. So think about that. So if you can't read it, you can hover above it and it will tell you the full name, which is kind of their little workaround for that. Again, it will tell you how many contacts you currently have in this Smart Plan and running. And as you can see, I can sort A to Z on the contacts in the list up or down by just clicking on the sort button. And at this point, it's running slow enough for me to keep talking. There it is. There are 841 people are on my training flyer. So every 16 days, this Smart Plan sends out an email to 841 people in my database. And that has one touch. And what that means is it's only doing one thing, one touch, and that's an email. So my little training flyer goes out to 841 people, and it is active right now. I created this on November 12th. It is running every 16 days, and after one touch, it repeats itself. It's on repeat. So it's only one email, and it just goes out every 16 days. And for those of you who have received it, I'll show you what it looks like by coming over here onto the right-hand side, and I'll click Edit. When you look at the editing screen for this, it's going to say very simply, you have one step in your Smart Plan, and it's to send out an email, and then it goes into repeat. It waits 16 days and then starts again. And here it is, that Smart Plan. So step one, send out an email. And here the email is the many training tools available to you here at KWCLM. And it comes out from my command email. And then it goes out with a very elegant little design. It's basically a graphic that I created. And here's the graphic. And I can open it up if I wanted to look at it. And I can edit it if I needed to. After that email goes out, step number 2 is to wait 15 days. So 15 days after that email goes out, what I want you to do is, after you waited for 15 days, I want you to go back to the top and do it again. So a smart plan in this very, very simple example repeats itself. Every 15 days, the email goes out, and then it waits 15 days after that, so a total of 16 days, and it repeats. This is a simplistic yet very poignant example of what a smart plan can do. Now, this one here, as I said, is an active smart plan. There's 900 and something people on this. Or was it 800 and something? But look on the right-hand side here. It says this is an active smart plan, which means editing is limited for smart plans that are currently active. What can be made? Oh, you can change the name. Yay. You can change text messages if there are any text messages in it. Mine does not. You can change the task descriptions, but not the tasks themselves. And you can add or remove triggers. Triggers being tags to determine who gets the smart plan. What you cannot change about an active smart plan is you can't add steps, you can't delete steps, and you can't change the order of the steps. So if you wanted to work with an existing active smart plan, they do give you one option here. In order to change the order of actions or add new actions to this smart plan, you will need to duplicate it. Contacts that are currently subscribed will not automatically migrate to the new smart plan, which means if I was to duplicate this, the 800 people that are on this smart plan would not automatically be added to the next smart plan. Okay? So this particular smart plan is super duper simple, and it just sends out an email, waits 15 days, and then does it again. So let's go back to our smart plan list. When we talk about smart plans, I'm going to open up this little one here that I created this morning on April 5th. And I can see here that it has no contacts, nobody's associated with it, which means I can edit it. There is, when it was created, it has a duration of 1 day, which means I probably don't have much going on inside of it. There's not a 61-day plan or anything like that. And there's a total of 1 touch. So that means that there's 1 action. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this to edit it. And now, because there is no one associated with this smart plan, all of the actions, all of the potential actions that I can use are available to me, and I can fully edit this smart plan because there's nobody on it and it's not running. So we have a smart plan name, which I can modify the name here, and it says here add trigger event. I'm going to skip that for now. We're going to come back to that at the end. Step number 1 in this particular smart plan is to send an email, and I've called it the monthly newsletter. So by definition, what you can see here is I've created a monthly newsletter. Now, this particular monthly newsletter is very, very simple. It has 1 month, and what that means is there's only 1 graphic. There's only 1 design. There's only 1 newsletter in this monthly newsletter. So when I send this out, I'm going to be sending out this design. And I'm going to click on this little thing here to preview for you the design that I've created. And I'm going to come back and show you more about this design in a minute, but I'm just going to quickly preview this for you. So when I go into here, this is a sample email showing the header, the graphic for the email, the body, and then it's a 2-page little newsletter, and then it's got some graphics and some designs on it. And this one looks like it's 70% off with online in stores. And down at the bottom, I have my footer with my legal information. Now, in preview mode, you will not see this actually fill out with your agent name and phone number and all that stuff. It will only merge your actual agent information and your market center information. It will only merge that together when the smart plan actually goes out. I get this call all the time. Robert, I'm in preview mode on my Smart Planner, my graphics, and it's showing these broken images and it says agent name, last name, but it's not my name. It's like, nope. Anything in preview will not actually merge your data into a preview window. It will only merge when it's actually going out. Now you're wondering, okay, well, Robert, where did you get the graphic? How did you create the graphic for this? Well, in this case, I went over to Canva, which is that I talked about that in the last class. Canva is an online graphic design tool used for billions of things, but social media is one of them. And I said, hey, show me some template newsletters. And I grabbed the first one I found, which is called Think Unlimited. It looks like being a true gentleman. What's new? So I took this little design, and of course I could have gone in and adjusted all the graphic information and the text and all that, but I used the default little template to show you what, a nice looking template looks like inside of an email. Now, if I wanted to change any of this, because I'm in preview mode right now, I can't do that because this graphic I'm previewing the graphic, so I'm not able to change it. If I wanted to change the graphic, I would need to close the graphic and then go and edit the design, which I can do. I can totally do that. So let's kind of recap where we're at here. So remember that this particular smart plan has one step in it, and it's to send out a newsletter. Well, it's called a monthly newsletter. So what would happen if I came down to the bottom of this and said, well, that's all fine and dandy. That's month 1. But what about month 2? Well, here at the end of this section where it says send out the newsletter, that's step number 1. That's day 1, send it out. At the end of that, there's nothing else. The smart plan ends. So how do I add another level, another month to this? Well, we already have the 1 month. We can let's say this is January. On the right-hand side, we can add another email. So we can click there to say send email. And now look, step number 2 is also send email. And I've collapsed it to show you the structure here. So step number 1 is send out an email. It's called monthly newsletter. Step number 2 is send out email, but there's nothing in it yet. So we can expand that out, look at it, and we'll call this month 2. And it says, okay, it's month 2. So this is the second month's newsletter. But see, think about what I'm doing here. I had 1 month designed, ready to go, dialed in. And now I'm saying, okay, I want to add month 2. Well, month 2, it doesn't have a design. So now I have to kind of say to myself, well, did you prepare in advance? Did you get your design ready for month number 2? And if the answer is yes, we can go to the designs here where choosing between a simple email and a design email and say select design. And then maybe my second design, I'll take the training flyer here and I'll say that's what I'm going to use. So I've got a little single page email that comes up and says, do you want to edit this? Do you want to look at it any closer? And is this what you want? Yes, that's what I want. And I'll go ahead and hit save here. So now I have step number 2 complete, which is the second month of the email. So again, look at what we got. We've got step number 1, send out an email, monthly newsletter. That's on day 1. Then step number 2, send out an email for month number 2. That's on day 1. Well, that doesn't make any sense because day 1 of this smart plan, I'm about to send out 2 different emails, same day. Well, that's what we have over here, this set delay option. So if I click on the set delay, it brings in step number 3, because that's where I put it, set delay, and it defaults to 1 day. Well, the first things first here, we want to take this delay and we want to move it up between steps 1 and 2. So each of these steps has these little arrows, these move up, move down, delete, and save. If I click the move up on the set delay, it actually puts it between step 1 and step 3. Well, here's the problem though. The delay is currently at the default of 1 day. So day 1, the email goes out, it delays 1 day, and then on the second day, day 2, this next email goes out. Well, that's too soon. I need it to be a month. So I can edit the delay, and I can come in here and I can type in 30 days. Now, one of the things that you'll notice here is his maximum delay can only be set to 369 days. This is actually an improvement over when they first released this tool. You only could do, I think, like 90 days. So now you can actually delay a step by over a year, which would be quite a long delay. But if you were doing a Happy New Year email, and it was an email that you wanted to send out once a year, for maybe set up 5 years of Happy New Year's, you could do that. You could set up 5 years of Happy New Year's in here and have it send out once a year. In my case here, I'm keeping it simple. I'm going to say there's going to be a 30-day delay. When you think about it, our months have 30 days. Some have 31, and of course we got February. So this a 30-day delay is probably good enough to keep it around the beginning of the month and hovering about that point. You're not going to worry about it drifting too far, and you don't have to calculate the exact amount of days that you need. So I'll say okay to that by clicking save on that, and I'll close that up. So now look at this. Step number 1, send out an email. That's on day 1. Step number 2, set a delay of 30 days, and that starts at the end of day 1. And then step number 3 starts on day 31. 30 days after the original one goes out, the next email goes out. And that's how we build smart plans. We use the tools on the right-hand side, the actions, and we combine them into a timeline with steps that include delays between each of the steps and the actions themselves. Now, one of the things that you saw on that monthly newsletter that I send out was that there was a restart. It repeated itself. Now, in this case, so there's a little quiz for you here. Would you repeat this particular smart plan after the second month goes out? Would you repeat this to start again back at month number 1? John, I'll ask you. No? Okay. So with the repeat question, should we repeat it? Well, if we did, we would have the same newsletter that we went, so let's use months. So if this was January, the January newsletter would go out. It would wait 30 days, and then the February newsletter would go out. And then if we repeated it, it would repeat the January newsletter, which is the same newsletter as January, because we did not make a third newsletter. So we want to keep that in mind as we think about building these things. Are we building something that is going to be a long-term smart plan, or is this something that's going to be short and stop? What are we going to do? And, I always talk about these smart plans from a technical perspective, because a lot of people make just little mistakes on the organization and the structure of the smart plan as they're building it. So we don't want to think about, just the graphics or just the smart plan and putting things up and setting up these big, massive smart plans. We really need to structure it out. And with that in mind, I'm going to bring up for you guys here something that will help you kind of get an idea of the way to build your smart plan. So I'm going to our learning management system, and Alana, myself, and Zoe Kirkpatrick put together a marketing mashup class where we talked about a longer term smart plan and how it might run. And Zoe gave a nice description of how it impacts your business. Alana did a spectacular description about how to think about the content of your marketing or your smart plan. And then I showed how to technically put it together. But the second one here, Alana, was really, quite frankly, the important one, because it showed you how to think about building a longer term smart plan and what goes into it. So when we talk about these smart plans, it's easy to just throw things together, but there has to be a method to your madness. You have to start thinking very carefully about what your message is. And again, Alana goes through that and has a good discussion about what the message is. And then the content itself. What are we going to actually say to get our message across? And then once that's done, you set up a plan. The plan is, when are these things going to go out? How long between them? How many versions of these are we going to have? And then you get into the mechanics of it. And again, I hate to say it, it doesn't sound like it's very good for me, but the mechanic side of this is very easy. Once you have developed your plan, once you know what you want to say, how often you're going to say it, and what that content is going to be. You can see that it's fairly easy to just bring things into the Smart Plan and activate them here. Okay. So now that we have a little bit, it's actually not a really good example of a Smart Plan, because if you'll notice here, the monthly newsletter goes out on day 1. And then we set a delay of 30 days. And then we send out the next newsletter, and that goes out on day 31. Here's a common mistake: hitting restart after the second month goes out, and then saying, okay, restart the Smart Plan. And let's say that we're going to, repeat the Smart Plan 3 times. Okay. A lot of people will do this. But if you're following the days over on the right-hand side, you're going to notice that there's something wrong with this. Day 1, a newsletter goes out. It waits on the end of day 1, it triggers a 30-day hold. So after a 30-day hold, the next day, on day 31, another email goes out. And then we say, repeat the Smart Plan. So on day 31, we're triggering a repeat. And that means that on day 31, we're going to send out that first step again. We forgot to add a delay between the end of the last email and restarting the plan. So I'll set a delay here, and I'll move it up 1 step, and I'll kind of crush this down so that you can see it. Oh, sorry, it was in the right place already. There we go. All right, there we go. So what we have is set a delay, send out the email, set a delay of the whatever we need it to be. In this case, we're going to set a 30-day delay. So we'll do another 30. And then restart the Smart Plan. And that will give us day 61. Okay, so mechanics, pretty easy to work with. Let's go back up here to the very top and talk about this add trigger event. When does a Smart Plan start? So that's what we're going to talk about with this trigger. When does this Smart Plan start? Well, with one of the tools that we can do, we can just add people. So up in the top right-hand corner, I can click on Add Contact. It's just to the left of the Save button. It's Add Contact. Now I can add one person at a time by finding them, looking into the database and locating that person, and put a checkbox next to them. They will be added to the Smart Plan. Or I can use tags to locate people who have been grouped by tags, maybe all the people that have Gmail, and all of those people. If I see that, I've got a total of, I don't know how many are in there. I don't know. Let's see if I select them all, put them in there. It gives me, I don't know, 30 of them or so. And then keep on going. So all of these people that I can add to this Smart Plan by using tags or name searching, when I do that, they're going to be added to this Smart Plan as soon as I click Add to Smart Plan. I'm not going to actually add these people, so I'll close it. So that's not a trigger, though. That's just adding people to a Smart Plan. That's saying I'm going to purposely put you in there. When you add people like that, using that Add Contacts dialog box, you're essentially, I'll go ahead and put myself in here so that you can see what it looks like on the next section. So Robert Vincent, and I'll say, yes, add that person and all those other people, add them to the Smart Plan. And it says, okay, well, when do you want it to start? Now that you've put all those people on it, do you want me to start immediately? Do you want me to wait until the following date to start? And if I had more than 2 people, I would actually have a third option here for a staggered start. If I like 50 people, I could say send out 10 a day for 5 days until everybody's been kind of touched on this. So adding people to a smart plan is not a trigger. It's just adding people to a smart plan. And this is one of the ways we can do it. From within the smart plan, we click on add contact and we find the people that we want. Let me go ahead and grab a few extra people here. And when we click add to smart plan, we get that start now, start all on a specific, all of them on a specific date, or stagger the start over the next few days with a value number here of how many you want per day. Piece of cake. So what's this trigger? Why do we have this thing called add a trigger event? So everything that we've done so far with adding people has been saying deliberately put these people on the smart plan. But a trigger is different. A trigger is actually a gatekeeper. It's watching your database. It's looking at your database for specific tags to find when somebody has been added to your database with the specific tags that you select. I'll say Comcast.net. So if I add a contact and they have been tagged with @Comcast.net, just an email tag, then when the system recognizes that a new contact has come into the database and they have been tagged with this tag, the system will pick them up and automatically add them to the smart plan. So what is this good for? Well, it's good for Facebook marketing campaigns. For when you set up a Facebook marketing campaign, when people respond to your ad, you can add the tag Facebook ad for 22 Main Street onto that Facebook campaign. So when that campaign returns back and you get people who click on it, it will automatically tag those contacts who responded to your ad with the tag that you choose. And if that tag is something that's part of a smart plan, the smart plan automatically triggers to set itself going. That's pretty cool. So when you add a tag via import, or you add a tag to a new contact, or you add a tag because of a Facebook ad, that will trigger the smart plan to add that person to the smart plan and begin sending it out. Triggers are pretty cool, but triggers do not impact people who are in your database already that have that tag. So there are a bunch of people in my database that have the Comcast tag, but adding it here as a trigger will not send out an email to those people because the tag only looks for newly added people with that same match. So it doesn't look at the database and go, oh, there's like 300 of these people in here. Should I go ahead and send it out? Nope. It doesn't touch the ones that already exist in your database. But that's okay because we can still manually add them by adding them and searching for that tag, that existing tag. So there's no downside to using tags, using manually adding, assignment, all those different things. It's whichever way is best to get people into this smart plan so they can start receiving the notifications. Okay? So there's a bunch of the mechanics behind smart plans. So I'm going to go back now to the smart plan page here. And when I see the smart plan page, again, I'm looking at the smart plan and any contacts, when it was created, the duration, the touches. So these smart plans are the ones that are in my library right now. And those are ones that I've created, with the exception of that bi-weekly neighborhood nurture. I didn't create that. That is a Keller Williams written plan and what we call a Keller Williams managed plan. We can't edit that. As a matter of fact, if I open that up for you and show you, you'll see that bi-weekly neighborhood, once again, it's a Keller Williams managed plan. The editing is limited for KW managed plans. What can be changed? The name. Yes, you can add or remove triggers. You can also change text messages and descriptions, but that is it. So for birthday, home anniversary, and promote my app plans only. So text messages only apply to birthday, home anniversary, and promote my app. For birthday and home anniversary plans only, you can change the descriptions. So it's pretty limited, but it's very powerful, believe it or not, because what this is doing is, in this case here, the bi-weekly is setting out a repeat for every 2 weeks. It looks at neighborhoods and goes out. But if it was a birthday plan, we could actually put a text message, hey, happy birthday, so-and-so. Or if it was an anniversary, hey, happy anniversary, so-and-so, and have a text message go out. Text messages, by the way, are sent out via a service called Twilio. You have to pay for that service, and it's about $3 a month for 300 texts per month. So if you're interested in having a smart plan automatically send out a text message, then you can use Twilio to trigger those text messages and have them send them out. So those are some powerful things that you can do with this particular managed plan. So where do we get those plans? We get those plans, all of the KW managed plans and plans that are written by other agents that we might be interested in. We can get a lot of those, all of them, from the library. So right now we're in My Smart Plans. But if we come over here to Library, we can click on this and we're immediately taken to the Keller Williams online library of smart plans. Now this is actually broken down into a lot of different sections in this page. At the very top, we have a featured section, which there are 8 smart plans which are featured, and we can actually slide through all of those. And if you're interested, you can kind of look at these and go, what is this smart plan doing? This is a My Long-Term Nurture Smart Plan. Stay top of mind by scheduling regular check-ins with your contacts over the span of 6 months. Well, that sounds great. So what does that involve? There are 8 steps, 31-day duration, okay, or 31 duration. I'm not sure because it says 6 months here. So there are 31 of those. There are 3 touches. Well, what does it look like? Well, if we come down here to view steps, we can actually see the steps that are being taken. So add to smart plan. So this is a link to My Neighborhood Nurture. So this is setting up the neighborhood plan, then delay 10 days, and then make a phone call. And the phone call has a nice little text message in here that gives you a prompt on what to say. Call so-and-so as part of the long-term nurture plan. Then it says delay of 10 days. And then there's a task. It says send value email, buyer or seller, to contact so-and-so, so-and-so as part of the long-term plan. So the task is it reminds you to send out that email. So we come down a little bit further here and it says wait another 10 days and then send out a text message. Now that's interesting. In this text message, let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger for you so you can see that. I'm going to scoot down here. There we go. Okay. So step number 1 is just a little bit off the page there, but it says, but I wanted to let you know, you make sure you're getting all the tools and information you need from me to support you as we prepare for that day. Obviously talking about buying your home. Then each one of those subsequent text messages has a different message, up to 6. So some of these smart plans are pretty cool because as this thing cycles around, each time it hits that text message, it delivers a new text message, up to 6 different messages. So text messages can be scheduled so that there's a different message that goes out up to 6 times so that they get fresh messages for each of the times that we're texting them. And then after that text message goes out, the whole thing's set up on repeat. That's a pretty cool smart plan. And just so you know, this was actually written by Marty Miller. Marty Miller is one of the big names in Keller Williams technology for the amount of education work that he does to show people how to use these tools. So if you're not familiar with Marty Miller, you can look on YouTube and find dozens and dozens of videos that he has created that center on learning and understanding command and all of the components within it. So that particular one was written by Marty Miller. Now here to the right of that is a new one here called Stay in Touch with Your Data Bank with multiple touches a year with phone calls, handwritten notes, text messages, and social media touches. This particular one was written by Fred Moore, who is in our region. Fred Moore is a guy who is in the New England region. And when you go in to look at all the things that he's done, he has 6 different smart plans that he has created and shared with people so that they can use them. And he's got some pretty good ratings here on some of these. Some of these might be fairly new, but this is a great, he's a great resource as well. So Fred Moore has bunches of different smart plans. Now, besides the featured ones, if we come down a little bit further, we're going to get into the Keller Williams smart plans. And there are 10 of these. The most popular and the one that's probably used the most is, in fact, the biweekly neighborhood nurture. And that particular one we already have in our database, and we see that it's going out every 2 weeks and sends out a nice formatted email for our clients. There's one here called the 8x8 engagement, contact engagement. Build relationships and win the real estate agent the agent mindshare battle with this 8-week plan. Well, what's the steps in that? So if I come here and view the steps, so there's a text message that goes out. Hi, it's Robert from KW. Would love to grab coffee sometime. Let me know your schedule looks like the next. Let me know what your schedule looks like in the next few days. So you're sending out a text message inviting yourself to have coffee with them. Then the next one is delay, and then a touch task, interaction task. Send a let's grab coffee email. So don't forget to send out an email. So it's telling you it's reminding you to send out an email. Then there's a delay, and then it's hey, make a phone call. Let's get together. So all of these different things are designed to reach out to people over time. Now, if somebody reaches out to you and says, yeah, let's go get some coffee, you can take them off the smart plan. And that way they're not going to be bombarded with this same thing. Let's get coffee. So this is a great way for you to just keep top of mind and work with people and just kind of hopefully stay in their head. That's the game, right? So that's that one. If you like that, you can click on Add Smart Plan and download it and then bring it into your system. As a matter of fact, let's do this. With this 8x8, let's take that and we're going to hit add this smart plan. And this one here says it's a bundled smart plan, which means there's a smart plan that takes place after this smart plan. And in this case, it's the monthly neighborhood nurture, which I believe I already have, or maybe I don't. Maybe I need to get that one first. So I'll download the monthly neighborhood nurture. And now I can download the 8x8. So I'll click that and put that in there. So now I've just downloaded from the library an 8x8 new contact engagement and a monthly neighborhood nurture as well. If I want to go in and modify that newly downloaded plan, I go back to my smart plans. And when it loads up here, I have the new 8x8. So let's take a look at what's got inside here. Something that's already pre-built, and we can modify this. This is not a locked smart plan. We can actually come in here and take a look to see what is in there and make it our own. So here we are. So we have a trigger possibility. So we can, remember, this is set up for us to be able to use on our own. So there are no triggers automatically added. We would have to add those. Maybe new contact is the term that we use to tag everybody that hits our database that's new. And when they receive that tag, the smart plan triggers. So it sends out a text message. The text message is, hey, Robert Vincent, it's Robert Vincent here from so-and-so team. Would love to grab coffee sometime. Let me know what your schedule looks like in the next few days. That message goes out. And if you have Twilio, it's using Twilio to send that text message. If you are not using Twilio, this text message becomes a task set into your task application. Step number 2, setting a delay. So after that text message goes out, there's a 7-day delay. After that 7 days, an email goes out. Actually, a nice, simple task is created to remind you to send out an email. And so this is considered a non-touch task, or actually, is this considered a touch task? I'm not sure. This is a non-touch, because we have to send out an email. So do in 1 day after the original 7 days. We send out an email to so-and-so, and here's the task description. Don't forget to send the email. Let's grab coffee. So after that, we slide down, and there's another delay. The delay is a key part of these smart plans and making them work. So after 7 days, we make a phone call, and we get reminded to make a phone call. And the phone call also gives us a little script here. Call so-and-so as part of the 8x8 smart plan. You could add some script in here to make it make sense for you and make it so that it makes sense for the smart plan itself. Next up after that one is a delay. Big surprise. And that one's going to wait 7 more days. And then it's another SMS. I just wanted to check on you. How's your day going? Any real estate needs I can help with? Now, you can, of course, customize any of these messages, because all we did was we downloaded the template from the library. So after we go through that one, we get another delay. And then after that delay, we are adding somebody to a monthly neighborhood nurture smart plan. And remember, the neighborhood nurture smart plans require that the contact has a neighborhood. So if you want to add somebody to the monthly neighborhood nurture plan, they need to have a neighborhood associated with them. If they don't, that part of this smart plan is not going to do anything. Okay. Of course, after that, we have another delay. And then finally, not finally, we still have a lot to go, making a phone call. So it's reminding you to do another phone call. And it goes down through all of the rest of the steps with delays and additional things. So this one here is really designed for you to make sure that you're reaching out by using tasks. Now, some of you may not use tasks in your daily life. Remember, this only works if you engage with the system. If you have your own mechanisms for reminder tasks and you forget to come in here and look at the tasks that have been assigned to you, then you're really not using the tool to its fullest potential. But if you're using the command mobile, which delivers all of the tasks that you need to do to your mobile device, or if you're using command on a daily basis and you go and view your tasks in your task list over here, then you'll be staying on top of things. So, we're under no delusions that this requires you to do some work. The tasks, the calls, some of the emails, some of the text messages, that's your work. Okay. There's, of course, the send emails, which are automatic, and the text messages, which can be automatic as well. But the task and the calls, they fall to you to be able to be completed. So, keep that in mind as you're building your smart plan. Am I going to be able to stay on top of all these tasks that I'm generating for all of these people that I add to these smart plans? So, smart plans can be overwhelming if you take on too much at one time. So here's my recommendation. Create a smart plan that just does something on its own, a neighborhood nurture plan. Add a bunch of neighborhoods to the people in your database, and then add those people to the monthly or the bi-monthly neighborhood nurture plan. That is an easy entry into smart plans. The next smart plan you might want to tackle is a yearly birthday or a yearly home anniversary smart plan. And that way, what you're doing is you're getting the birthday, and you don't need the year. We're not interested in what year somebody was born. But if you get their date and the day of their month, add the birthday to the contact, and add that contact to a smart plan, then you will find that is a second level entry where you're actually reaching out, because now a task is going to be created or a text message is going to go out on your behalf for those birthdays. So those two are the easy ones. If you're planning on doing a longer term brand awareness campaign, that's a big campaign. Then remember, I showed you a few moments ago in the class that's in the LMS. This will start you down the right path for a longer term smart plan that will kind of nurture over time. So don't jump in and try to create a monster plan early. Start off nice and simple. Create something with, just a couple of tasks or something like that to remind you what to do and see how you feel about it. Make sure that you add neighborhood nurture plans because those are the best and those are the easiest to get involved with. All right. So the next thing to do with SmartPlans, and again, this was an overview and a kind of a technical preview of these things. The next thing to do in the next SmartPlan class that we do is to look at a workflow. And I'll give you kind of a simple example of a workflow here. Number one, you're going to set up your desired outcome. You're going to determine what the plan is trying to do. Is it brand awareness? Is it for a specific event? Is it, a long-term nurture plan to just kind of talk about the market? What is it? What is it that you want to do? And then you're going to develop the content. The content being the graphics, the wording for all of the different emails that you might be sending out. Any of the actual content needs to be created. That needs to be done before you can do the technical side of putting it together. So you got to get all your designs together. You got to get all of your paragraphs of text together. And you got to organize that all out. Once that's done, then you work on building the smart plan. And then after the smart plan is built, you run a test, send it to yourself, and you test each step to just see what it looks like. And then you start adding people to the smart plan and implement it. So it's not something you do overnight. It's something you really want to think about. And again, that's why this particular class in the learning management system is so good, because automating your marketing with multi-step smart plans gives you a really good background on all of the pieces that we've discussed here, and with much more eloquent information from Alana or from Zoe. So they can definitely help you out with what that's all about. So this one, you can see there's a lot of resources in here with this particular class as well. So check that out. And then as you start to work down that path, of course, I'm available for you from the technical side. Alana can help you with anything from the marketing side, and from the business aspect of it, Zoe can give you a hand. John, you got any question for me? You're on mute. So, hey, John, you're on mute. Yeah, you're on mute. There you are.
Sorry about that, Robert.
That's all right.
This class was of value to me as an introduction, but it's going to be a little while before I do one, and I think I need a little more training to build on it,
Well, that's the thing, John, is you want to think about what you want to accomplish with it. In a simple smart plan with brand awareness, you can just, create a couple of different emails that talk about you and the services you offer, and then stop it right there. Do a couple of those. So for a 2-month period, 2 emails, that's it. And, start there. You don't have to dive into these monster smart plans. And unfortunately, a lot of people feel like, well, if it's there, I have to do 20 steps. It's absolutely not true. A couple of emails, or how about an email and then a follow-up the next week with a text message, or follow up with a phone call. That's a doable, something that is not overwhelming, and it requires you to just, go crazy over. So take something small, and, the plan is the plan. So make sure you think about what you want to achieve first. And then when you do that, talk with Alana, talk with myself, and we can work you through the mechanics of it and then implement it. And then I guarantee you that when you do something simple like that, you're going to be like, wow, this is not so bad if I, slowly add maybe one thing here, one thing there.
Get a walk before you can run.
Absolutely. All right, you guys. Well, that's going to do it here for Tech Tuesday. It's just shy of 4 o'clock here. So thank you, John, for joining me. Thank everyone was watching on Facebook. Hey, glad to have you here. We're going to shut it down now. So we'll be back next week with another episode of Tech Tuesdays. And the following week, not next week. So I'll be here next week, but the following week I will be off. So just to keep you guys in mind, I think it's the week of the 18th or something like that. Let me see what the date on that is. That is going to be the week of the 18th through the 22nd. I will not be here in the office. So we're going to skip that one for Tech Tuesdays. But we got next week. So I'll see you then. Have a great day until then, you guys. Thanks, John.
Thanks, Robert. Appreciate it.
You got it.